Why is it that we are bombarded with music everywhere? In coffee shops, in shopping malls, and even on the street. What if I told you that the standard 440 Hz tuning is to sicken us, so that we are out of tune with ourselves? What if I told you that the standard 440 Hz tuning resonates in our brain in a certain frequency that makes us obedient slaves? If you are up for a ride, then let's investigate.
This is not my world, 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 this is not my world.
If one should desire to know whether a kingdom is well governed, if its morals are good or bad, the quality of its music will furnish the answers. Confucius, philosopher. First of all, what is the tuning I'm talking about? What is 440 Hz? So let's first learn about concert pitch. Concert pitch is the pitch reference to which a group of musical instruments are tuned for a performance. Concert pitch may vary from ensemble to ensemble and has varied widely over music history. His story. We know that his story is fake. In the literature, this is also called international standard pitch. The most common modern tuning standard uses 440 Hz for A above middle C as a reference note, with other notes being set relative to it. Okay, so basically what it means is that when you have, let's say, a guitar, you have to tune your instrument to a certain tension so that you are in tune with other instruments. Now if you are playing alone, then of course it doesn't matter that much, but usually everyone nowadays tunes to 440 Hz because that's the standard. Now here's the Wikipedia entry for the 440 Hz pitch standard, also known as the Stuttgart pitch, which has a frequency of 440 Hz. This Hertz value basically means the resonance, the frequency of how this instrument resonating with the air. According to my research, most classical music have been played and composed in 432 Hz tuning, including Chopin, Bach, Debussy and Mozart. So why is it and when was it that they changed it to 440 Hz? That should be the question, I guess. For the answer, we should go back to the good old American land and check out this article on the Percussive Art Society under the Hall of Fame John Colin Deegan. This guy was said to be one of the most recognizable names in the field of mallet percussions. Highlights of Deegan's career: nationally recognized performer on clarinet, member of the United States Navy, developed numerous musical instruments, charter member of the American Federation of Musicians, which is said to be a Rothschild-supported organization. And most importantly, in 1910, he persuaded the American Federation of Musicians to adopt the 440 Hz as the standard universal pitch for orchestras and bands. Oh, and by the way, 1910 is 9/11, right? 2 times 1 and 1 times 9. How interesting. All these important dates have some kind of symbology in it. Now here's another interesting information from Wikipedia. The strongest opponents of the upward tendency in pitch were singers who complained that it was putting a strain on their voices. Largely due to their protest, the French government passed a law on February 16, 1859, which set the A above middle C at 435 Hz. This was the first attempt to standardize pitch on such a scale and was known as the diapason normal. I believe we are talking about fake history here again as usual, but I'm just trying to connect the dots from the perspective of what information they are giving us. So first of all, we see 1859, which is actually matching that 200-300 years after the reset. So before the reset, there was no standard, right? There was no Hertz, there was nothing to set, a standard for. Perhaps they had a specific ancient tech tuning fork, I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make here is that it seems like that after the reset, they started to make changes in the music, how we hear it, how we play it, and created tuning standards. Let's talk about numerology. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6 and 9, then you would have a key to the universe. Nikola Tesla, alternative energy engineer. Basically, Tesla was very keen on numbers that was divisible by 3. For instance, when he went to a hotel, his room number had to be divisible by 3. Now the other interesting number is 12, which is also actually divisible by 3. And we can see the number 12 in the 12 months of the year, the 12 hours of the clock. And by the way, 12 hours of the clock is 43,200 seconds. And you can see in there the 432 Hz, 12 constellations of the zodiac, 12 inch is 1 foot, symbology in the Bible, the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 apostles, and so on. Now let's do some math here. 1 times 12 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 2 times 12 equals 24. 2 plus 4 equals 6. 3 times 12 equals 36. 3 plus 6 equals 9. 4 plus 12 equals 48. 4 plus 8 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 5 times 12 equals 60. 6 plus 0 equals 6. 6 times 12 equals 72. And 7 plus 2 equals 9. You can see the pattern here. 3, 6 and 9. And again 3, 6 and 9, and it just goes on to infinity. So there's a pattern in numbers as well, it seems. And it really looks like to me that 3, 6, 9 and 12 as well have quite a significance. Now let's have a look at the standard pitch. 440 divided by 12 is 36.6666666667, and 440 Hz divided by 3 equals 146.66666666666667. That's quite an odd number, isn't it? The number of the beast from the Bible. For those of you who are new to my channel, I don't believe in the Bible. I'm no longer a Christian. I left it because it is full of contradictions. But there are symbols in the Bible, and the Masons and the Illuminati use the Bible as their master plan. So 666 is number of the beast, and it's right there in the 440 Hz. That's the music that you hear. So basically when you listen to music, the commercial standard music, and 99.9% is 440 Hz tuned, you are listening to 666, the beast. In numerology, usually 0 means nothing. They don't calculate that number. So 4 plus 4 equals 8. Which is the endless cycle. It's infinity. Could it be that it means the endless cycle of the reincarnation? The soul recycling system that I talked about in my other videos? What if the 440 Hz tuned music actually tunes us into going into the light and following the endless soul recycling reincarnation cycle? Music has some special effect on our bodies and our soul. You know, it has a frequency that we understand. It resonates with us. It's not just like language. You know, the languid witch that I also talked about before is the languid witch of the soul. We kind of feel music. It has a lyrics, it resonates with us, it has these tunes, frequencies that come to our ears and we feel it in our soul, in our body. They created this evil tuning so that they can program us from the inside out. You know, when you listen to music, you listen to the music of the beast, of the 666, it programs you to go into the light, to follow the endless cycle of reincarnation so that your soul can be recycled and the entities can feed on you for longer. You know, the perfect system for them. They don't do a thing and you pay for it. You download the fucking music from iTunes, you put it into your ears and it programs you. You know what I mean? It's like genius. By the way, genius, do you know what that means? Genius means the same as demon. 4 times 4 equals 16. And interestingly, the 440 Hz tuning is the ISO standard 16. Interesting. Coincidence? Do you remember anything else about the number 16? Well, 16 digits card number, the financial monetary system of the beast. All credit card numbers have 16 digits for a reason. Oh, and by the way, when we are talking about the 666 system, did you know that the barcode is a 666? These lines, the divider lines here, these three, have a numerical value of 666. I'm not sure I want to listen to 440 Hz tune music again. Let's look at the 432 Hz then. 432 divided by 12 equals 36. 3 plus 6 equals 9. Again, this is 3, 6, 9. 3 times 6 equals 12. 36, 3, 6, 9, 12. Those very same numbers Tesla was talking about. Let's divide 432 by 3. That is 12 again. Let's take the numbers that make up 432. 4 times 3 times 2 again equals 12. 4 plus 3 plus 2 equals 9. All of these numbers are divisible by 3. There's some kind of harmony to this. Some sort of sacred geometry that we don't understand. And that leads me to the next section, cymatics. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency and vibration. Nikola Tesla, alternative energy engineer. Music is actually frequency and vibration, and it also creates energy. And if you didn't know about cymatics, cymatics is a way to show what frequency do visually. Be sure to note how the 440 Hz create geometry that is out of line, and the 432 Hz creates sacred geometry. In the next clip, I'm going to show you the effects of noise on water. And if we have water and obviously we have blood in our bodies, do you think that it doesn't do the same thing when we listen to bad music? Noise? Let's have a look at another demonstration where you can clearly see what bad music does to our bodies. So let's talk about the effects of the different tunings. The music industry features this imposed frequency that is herding populations into greater aggression, psychosocial agitation, and emotional distress, predisposing people to physical illness. Dr. Leonard Horowitz, alternative healer. And indeed, they created 440 Hz to sicken and destroy the body and the soul, to create anxiety, depression, headache, foggy brain, difficulty to focus, to alter the subconscious mind, to prevent you to have the ability to connect to your higher self, make you to have sheep mentality and emotional imbalance. And 432 Hz is healing the body, the soul, creates balance, love and emotional harmony, connects to your higher self and helps you find your purpose, helps you focus, resonates with your soul in the deepest level, and helps you to think independently. But nowadays everyone is listening to music, right? Do you see why they were so keen on selling music cheap to the people? Why they were selling the iPods, MP3 players, iPhones, iPads? You look around, everyone is listening to music when they commute and even at home. Everyone have the programming in their ears. When you put in the earphone, at least with 440 Hz, then you are putting in programming into your brain. That's a voluntary programming. You agree to it. You put it into your ears. There are no agents putting it into your ears. It's you. I know they tricked you. And I was there. They tricked me as well. But when I learned about 432 Hz, I pretty much stopped listening to 440 Hz tuned commercial music. The following passages are from the Cognitive Neuropsychiatry 2014 January 24 issue. Amelioration of psychiatric symptoms through exposure to music individually adapted to brain rhythm disorders. A randomized clinical trial on the basis of fundamental research. And let's start with defining what is adapted music by this article. They defined adapted music as this Mozart effect can be intensified by playing the music composition slightly decelerated as practiced in the days of Mozart. Furthermore, the instruments are tuned to the old French pitch of 432 Hz, which corresponds to the harmonic ratio of natural body rhythms. Introduction. This pilot study examined whether long-term exposure of psychiatric patients to music that was individually adapted to brain rhythm disorders associated with psychosis could act to ameliorate psychiatric symptoms. Methods: A total of 50 patients with various psychiatric diagnoses were randomized in a 1:1 ratio to listen to CDs containing either music adapted to brain rhythm anomalies. This means again 432 Hz music by the definition of this article, associated with psychoticism, measured via a specific spectral analysis, or standard classical music. Participants were instructed to listen to the CDs over the next 18 months. Psychiatric symptoms in both groups were assessed at baseline and at 4, 8, and 18 months using the Brief Symptom Inventory, or BSI. The results: at 18 months, patients in the experimental group showed significantly decreased BSI scores compared to the control patients. Significantly decreased BSI. Intriguingly, this effect was not only seen for symptoms of psychosis and paranoia, but also for anxiety, phobic anxiety, and somatization. Conclusions: exposure to the adapted music, which is again means 432 Hz music, was effective in ameliorating psychotic, anxiety, and phobic symptoms. Based on the theories of neuroplasticity and brain rhythms, it can be hypothesized that this intervention may be enhancing brain rhythm, synchronization, and plasticity in prefrontal hippocampal circuits that are implicated in both psychosis, paranoia, and anxiety-phobic anxiety. Bottom line is they conducted this research and the patients got better by listening to 432 Hz. Music is not just fun, it's a powerful channel of communication that can be used to influence the conscious and subconscious minds of man. You can hypnotize people with music, and when you get them at their weakest point, you can preach into their subconscious what we want to say. Jimi Hendrix, rock guitarist. Here's an official research paper I found from the Rockefeller Foundation, and this document is actually a link from the official Rockefeller Archive Center website. It is clear, for instance, that those occupational groups which according to general statistics have less schooling might be more affected by a medium of information which depends on listening only. The farmer and the industrial worker are among those who require our special attention. There are also certain fields where radio has grown to more than average importance because it offered new opportunities. Just think of radio in politics, of the role of the news commentator and news bulletins, and of the enormous share which music has in the total volume of programs. Already, he has preliminary conclusions as to one medium, specifically radio, which should be addressed in order to be effective: repetition. This is again psychology. They studied this in depth. They know that they have to repeat certain messages for us to be programmed, to be obedient slaves in the system. What deserves our special attention is the program series, the stimulus being repeated one or more times a week for perhaps many years. This medium, in order to promote community, democracy and education, cannot directly involve the participation of the audience though, in determining program content. They don't want you to be involved in the program because that would botch it up for them. They want to program you in the way they want to program you. A mechanistic vote on what should be broadcast would be disastrous since the public's taste is already perverted by bad programming. Do you see what I see? They know that people are programmed and people have bad taste. Why? Because they programmed that as well. His taste is perverted effect of a steady injection of bad programs which doesn't permit the development of better taste in spite of the remarkable program achievements which broadcasters can point to from time to time. Here, critical theory and psychoanalytic explanation are invoked to produce what was perhaps an unexpected critique of institutions and administrations which relied on founding analytics of corrupted taste to resist expanding and participatory to resist expanding the participatory nature of the medium or the political capacity for producing social facts that the medium presumably had demonstrated. These concerns were primarily observed in terms of radio listening as a symptom. The details of its consumption derived from data collection, the account of listening public as patient, such that individual disorders could be transposed to mass ones. Now listen to this. The mass totality of radio listening reproduced anxiety as problems of insecurity and distraction, a lack of direction. The listener as the overdetermined subject of distributed audience, listening consumer and public citizen, listens passively and emotionally in a state of alienation from her own individuation. Remember the quote from Jimi Hendrix? Music is not just fun, it's a powerful channel of communication that can be used to influence the conscious and subconscious minds of man. You can hypnotize people with music, and when you get them at their weakest point, which means when they are passive, you can preach into their subconscious what we want to say. That's what they are talking about. Nonetheless, the general state of this passive condition is graspable precisely in the status produced in its refusal of audience participation or access to production, and can be interpreted for theoretical purposes which will be then applied to strengthening the already demonstrable powerful aspects of radio, for example, repetition. This is very important to them. Repetition. That it's repeated over and 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 over again. Pseudo activities, repetition, taste, cultural production of states of mass subjectivity, mass media as instrumental forms through which those states of subjectivity were deployed. What is mass subjectivity? What they are saying here is that they are telling you what to think about something so that you have a subjective viewpoint on something. But that subjective viewpoint will be similar to other people's opinion because that's what they are telling you. So that's mass subjectivity. Not long after the Columbia talk, Lazarus Fels briefed his senior staff on the role of deep psychology in the project. Deep psychology? Repetitive program content, then supplemented with time data collection and personality type description, becomes the independent variable around which public psychology then fluctuates. A psychosocial production of a virtual public sphere determined in relation to program objects in terms of which invariance the public, its orientations and its emotional deficiencies becomes knowable. Musical development or the development of political interest over the life of the individual became expanded indices to chart the person's interest or pleasure in listening to music or political programming. So by their definition, music is also programming. Lazarsfeld described this biographical layer as accounting for listening not only in terms of personality, but in terms of the way personality has been molded, right? By the music programming and by the political programming. The early productivity and success of Princeton Radio led to interest in a similar study on motion picture viewing audiences' interest in radio research project focusing on propaganda. Discussion points included technical possibilities, emphasizing the potential ubiquity for synchronization given music as a medium and as an organ of psychotechnical acoustics, because it would allow for generating any type of audible spectrum for listeners anywhere at any time. Devices such as the ones he had developed now make it possible to evaluate the psychophysical effects of sound on audiences, allowing new applications such as music therapy and industrial music increasing utilities for musical entertainment functionally in the sense of creating a predetermined emotional atmosphere. So they are talking about how the music is predetermining the atmosphere of whatever they are trying to program you with. Exactly what Jimi Hendrix said, just in other words. Artists and those who create music don't understand how extensive the field of music actually is. Let that sink in. Since I switched to 432 Hz, I feel that I can play the music easier. I feel that I can compose easier. So my experience is that 432 Hz music is actually very, very intuitive. I also started to feel the effects of listening to 432 Hz music and playing it. It actually resonates from my chest, from my heart, rather than from my throat. And I kind of like feel the music rather than think it or sense it with my ears. Now, unfortunately, my first 3 studio records have been recorded in 440 Hz because back then I didn't know about 432 Hz. But from this video on, I changed the intro and outro to 432 Hz. It's not going to be 100% because it was a mechanical software change. I changed the pitch down to 432 Hz. It was recorded in 440 Hz, but at least I did something about it, and it is now in 432 Hz. And obviously I would like to re-record those 3 songs in 432 Hz tuning. So now let's compare the 440 Hz and 432 Hz tuning.
Living in a sick world where my soul is just world, and where I am not fine. It's not my world, it's not mine, this world doesn't belong to me, I'm just here to be. Living in a sick world where my soul is just world, and where I am not fine. It's not my world, it's not mine, this world doesn't belong to me, I'm just here to be. Living in a sick world where my soul is just world, and where I am not fine. It's not my world, it's not mine, this world doesn't belong to me, I'm just here to be.
Which version did you like the most? The first, the second or the third? Let me know in the comments below. A couple of days later I'm going to pin my comment where I reveal which version was the 432 Hz. And that's it for me for today. If you like this content and you would like to help, please consider going to my support page and kicking a couple of bucks so that I can keep up the lights. Are you starting to resonate with me on 432 Hz or 440? See you in the next one.
I'm just longing night by night for the other side to be alright, 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 alright.